Hello and welcome to the Rejuvenated Woman podcast. Today I have two very special guests, Australia's own internationally renowned divine mantra artists, Sacred Earth, Prem and Jethro Williams, have led the way for sacred music within Australia. Having sold more than 250,000 albums, they're Australia's top-selling artists in the ambient music genre. Anyone who's ever experienced Sacred Earth perform live knows it's something special. Hand on my heart, I know that too. It's more than just an ambient music concert. It's an exceptionally moving event. Tears flow, smiles spread, and a profound sense of peace pervades the entire space. A huge, loving, and warm welcome to you, Prem and Jethro. I've been a huge fan of yours for a very long time. My whole family has. And I was thinking last night, when was it that I first listened to you? And I think it was around 2010 where Donal and I were hanging out with Paul Check doing some mandalas, and he put the music on. And then later on, Donal and I were at the Mind, Body, Spirit Festival in Sydney, and we'd split. We'd been browsing the stalls and we'd split and we heard your music. And I know that I was like, oh my gosh, there's music, Sacred Earth, are they here live? And so I went over, and there you were, and I looked across and Donal was on the other side. So you brought us together, and I think that's what you encapsulate. You know, it's such a beautiful community that you create. And even I said to my son Josh, who's in the States, I said, he was asking me about the podcast, and I said, guess who I'm interviewing this week? And he said, who? And I said, Sacred Earth. And he said, oh, wow, Mum. He said, I was giving Alexis, his girl, a massage, and he put Sacred Earth music on. Oh. So I just, I've played it for so many years. You both played at our Place of Chi in 2012, where we had, I think, 40 people for dinner, and you've just been in our home for so long. So thank you so much for being here today. I wanted you to share a little bit more about how you came together, how Sacred Earth was born, and how we can find and bring stillness into our lives.
Yeah, I suppose starting with maybe more about Sacred Earth and maybe the ethos around Sacred Earth. So we, Prem and I met 22 years ago, and independently were seeking a different life. We were a whole lot younger then too, interestingly enough, and quite free. It was a beautiful time of self-exploration, and so we'd both been getting into yoga, and I was doing a lot of Vipassana meditation retreats, and just trying whatever was coming. I was open to that, and Prem was living that life independently, including musical expression, and quite free, really. And so we came together, and I think we were together for 3 weeks, and we sat at Vipassana together, 10 days silence, so we didn't look at each other for 10 days. Or I didn't look at her. Apparently.
I looked at him the whole time.
Not even
No, I was pretty hardline about it.
He was very stoic. And I spent the 3 weeks peering across the room.
But we set that set the tone for our journey and relationship together. Very, very deep. We came away from that, and meditation became part of our daily life. We sort of made this. I was reflecting on it with Prem a couple of days ago. We made this declaration that we wouldn't be responsible for each other's happiness, and in that we mean something comes up, a feeling comes up. We want to blame somebody, but actually the feeling's living inside of us. And we're still working on that 22 years later. It's a slow evolving realization that truth. It's one thing to say, I'm going to build a mansion with one hand behind my back. It's another to actually take the years to achieve it. And so we're still constantly evolving with that. But that was a really important pillar of the foundation of our journey with Sacred Earth.
And we decided, we were playing music, we were in a band at the time, and we decided that we were actually going to give up music. We weren't going to be musicians anymore, and went to study yoga teacher training for a couple of years. And so in that time, the music of Sacred Earth started to be born. It started to come out, and we just went with it, really. and it just kept more and more music kept coming. And when we took our music out to the streets, because we started just playing at markets out on the street, because there wasn't really anywhere in Australia to play music of that kind that wasn't a pub or club or something of that nature. It didn't really exist. So, and I don't really think there were, outside of the Hare Krishna communities and things like that, there wasn't really mantra being sung anywhere else. So we took to the streets and started playing, and the response was just incredible. We just, everywhere we went, we were watching people be touched in a very, very deep way. So we just kept getting the feedback from the universe that this is what you're meant to be doing. And so we just kept going. And the music kept coming. The songs kept being gifted to us. And from Spirit just kept coming. And we just kept listening and following the journey and showing up. And we showing up and showing up and showing up wherever we could play. But we had a very clear description of where we would play, and that was not places where they served any sort of substances, alcohol or anything like that. We were wanting to stay in a really clear vibration. So, and I remember people saying, there's no way you can play in Australia. There's just no way you can play that doesn't have that. And it's like, well, we're just going to trust. And we were supported beautifully over the years through things like the Mind, Body, Spirit festivals and the Psychic Expos and the markets all around Australia. And by the people. And we'd have, we could never tell who was going to be touched by the music. It might be some just massive bikie walking up with tears streaming down his face because he'd felt the music in his heart. And we've always, and from the beginning, just had an intention before we start. And that intention is to touch the heart of the listener in the deepest place and remind them of who they truly are. And that intention, that prayer, has been there the whole time and is said every time before we play, and is every time before we record an album or put anything down onto a CD. So it carries this vibration and this prayer and this intention that people will connect with themselves.
And you so deliver.
Thank you.
You really deliver. I was just feeling it just as you were expressing that, going back to one of the little halls in Mossman. And if anyone hasn't had the privilege of seeing Sacred Earth or listening to them, please look them up and we'll put a little video at the end. But I remember going into the concert. I'd seen you many times before, but you mentioned, the ambience, and it was like everyone was chilled out in the lounge room. We had our bolsters or blankets, or you bring your chair and, your chai, and it was home. It was like, we were sitting in your lounge room and you were welcoming us in, and definitely to your hearts. And, yes, I just feel it. And that's why we continue to play it. It's to touch so many people. I'm sure that you get so humbled, and your vibration raises even more when you see everyone, how touched they are from what you're sharing with them. Yeah,
it's been an incredible journey, and an incredible journey of listening to the people, watching the people, seeing the response. The feedback has always been so incredible that we couldn't not do it. It just was what we were meant to be doing in the world. And it just grows and it grows and it grows. Yeah, and the messages that people send to us are just so heartwarming, that our music is supporting their lives in so many different ways, and bringing them through really dark times or really beautiful times like births and deaths and marriages, and just bringing them out of darkness back to their light. So I think it's becoming even more relevant in the world right now, the music that we're playing and the intention behind it is more and more needed in the world.
Yes, I totally agree. Because you have travelled a lot in the past, haven't you?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So you mentioned off camera 9 months of the year, was it?
Normally, yes.
Yep.
Yeah, up to 9 months of the year.
So-
Four of that we would...
Not continuous, but...
we would spend maybe 4 in Europe, and then the other 5 would be throughout Australia.
New Zealand, Asia.
Does it get tiring?
Yeah.
Sometimes.
Well, when you're doing it...
It wouldn't if we didn't have babies attached to us when we did it.
Well, when you're doing it, there's an elevated experience. You know, you meet... You know, we're travelling, sharing mantra and prayer. We're getting to meet really high vibration people wherever we go to. Fantastic, beautiful environment. You know, we might be visiting that place for the first time, and you get taken on to have these genuine experiences of staying out on a lake house in somewhere like Latvia and doing a sauna on the lake and jumping in. You know, you have these, so you get on a high. There is a high, and possibly we didn't realise how tired we were from it until COVID came and stopped us, and then we went, I'm really tired.
Wow,
You
yeah.
know, and it's been a process of actually evaluating and experiencing that stillness in a different way, because we would still maintain our practices while we were on the road, while breastfeeding, while organising children and their needs around everything we were doing. Yeah, there's been a process of like the sediment coming down, because now we can just be at home and practice, and the depth that is there and the absence of the nervous system being subtly stimulated all the time has been quite noticeable.
So would you find or say that it's been a blessing for you to stop?
Oh, yeah.
Big time. Yeah, it has.
We bought a small farm in November 2019, and Prem had declared we weren't going to Europe the following year. So we didn't make any plans for 2020. Right? And we just put down anchor and went, that's no problem, because we'd already decided not to go. So, yeah, it's been wonderful. It's been a really wonderful time.
It took a while to convince you, though, that we weren't going.
Oh, yeah, that's my Sagittarian nature. I was always up for the next adventure, you know.
Yeah, do it and just change and having to rethink like everyone has. So you were delivering your concerts online? Is
yes,
that right?
Some of, yes. We were invited to join quite a number of festivals all around the world online, and that's been a beautiful experience. Very different, but still feels the same in some way as well. Once we drop into that zone, it just is. And it doesn't really matter if there's 1,000 people there or there's no one sitting there. The energy is still being exchanged. And there are people, of course, they're on the other side of the screen, but they're not sitting in front of us. So
yeah, I remember making a comment on one of the online concerts. Oh, it's kind of strange not playing to real people. And the comment came back, we are real people, you know.
It's like, sorry. Yes, you are. But,
just can't.
Because we're in this virtual space, you know. We're in our lounge room playing to a camera. But
it was beautiful for us as a band. With us, it was the 3 of us, with our percussionist Gavin Simpson as well. We had some beautiful times, just the 3 of us playing and going on some incredible journeys together with our music. And that really does translate. I think we're going to give you a video of that at the end. And it still was doing the same work, you know, out in the world, maybe even more so in these times when people really, really needed it and have really needed it.
Yeah.
I think it gives a little more easier access, doesn't it? And as you said, we as a collective need that space, or, you know, the facilitators to provide that for us. So what is it how would you describe or coach someone in finding stillness? You have a whole day on this, don't you? You have a whole day retreat. This is what I say to my husband. I asked him a question. He said, I speak a whole day on that stuff. Well, just narrow it down. Can you please?
Well, I think
there's some tools.
Yes.
Probably I'll start. You
go.
You can pick up what I miss. I think the first thing to recognising or finding stillness is acknowledging the absence of it. And so that can be confronting, or it can be a challenging thing to somehow recognise I'm not still within my being. I'd like to make a disclaimer to say that Prem and I are not permanently still in our emotional, physical...
So when you're human.
Yes, that's very much what we are. And we're parents, and we have moments. I think the difference is we really are present with those moments in a different way as we grow older and as we progress in this relationship with self-awareness. And so then recognising that stillness, it would be likened to anything, whether it's in the physical or the emotional. You can't expect to go from A to B without traversing the space that's in between them. And so you need tools or practices that will support you in journeying through that. And that's, if you want to climb a mountain, you might not get to the top for 3 months, but you might be going up and down that mountain for 4 days a week, gradually working your way up into that space. It's no different, and it's changing your awareness of the way you exist. We have certain practices that support us in doing that, but we also recognise that there's a myriad of practices, whether it be Tai Chi, Qigong, yoga, mantra, meditation. It's finding that which your heart sings with or what you resonate with, and then generating a daily practice. Having that level of commitment where you come back to it daily so that you're able to not only check in, but actually move away from the outward movement that life asks of us and move towards that internal movement of surrender and acceptance and experiencing presence, present moment. Like I said, that the sediment sifting down so that you can get that clear water experience.
That can be quite confronting, as you mentioned.
Oh, yes. The nature of the mind. It's mad.
Yeah. And it's the room that we never clean. It's that we just close the door and walk out and hope that it won't be the way we left it when we were there last. But then we open the door and go, whoa, it's gotten worse.
I love that analogy. Yes, so true.
But it's like Jethro said, the climbing up the mountain. It's if you're wanting to have a meditation practice in your life, to say and declare, I'm going to sit for an hour every day, it just might be a little out of reach if you're just beginning meditation. So to make really achievable goals, it's better off to sit for 5 minutes a day and do it every day. And then the habit is being created and being formed in that time. And then maybe that meditation practice will grow to 6 minutes or 7 minutes or 10 minutes, but just slowly. And it's the making the effort to get on the mat or to sit on the cushion is probably harder, because once you're there, it's easy to sit for 5 minutes and to have that committed practice. So it's about making achievable goals that you can that you'll confidently achieve, and then have a sense of, I can do this. And then the practice will grow naturally over time. And then also, like for example, we've had little people on our journey for the last 10 years. And then, of course, our eldest is 23. So we've had children the whole time that we've been together. While they were younger, I still wanted to maintain my yoga practice or our yoga practice. So rather than locking myself away in a bedroom or even trying to get out to a class was ridiculous, I couldn't manifest that. So just setting up the mat in the lounge room or on the deck and just doing the practice anyway. And the children would, go under the bridge and drive their trucks over me while I was in downward dog. And then someone, would bump their head and they'd need a cuddle. And then sometimes yoga would get hijacked and turned into I'm a little teapot. And, it had just become a game. And we just had to go with the flow with whatever was required. Oh, someone needs the toilet or someone needs breakfast or someone. But then you can get back on your mat. Just to not be attached that it has to look like a certain way, that to just do what you can within the confines of what you have.
That's beautiful, because I think we are so caught up in that idea of, we need to have it looking and being a certain way. And I think when you're in meditation, if someone's trying to meditate, that's kind of the problem, is trying to get somewhere or someplace. So when they're sitting on that mat for 5 minutes, what do you just to feel, like just to connect with their heart, not really, I mean, it's kind of a dance, isn't it?
It is a dance.
The mind and the heart.
If I was guiding someone in that space, I would invite them to just close their eyes and drop into their breath and let their belly relax and just let their breath deepen and slow down, and then to begin to become present with the sounds that are around them. And even if that is a busy place and a noisy place, let those sounds be the anchors into the present moment. So a bird sings over here, and then a cricket sings over here, and then a child makes noise over here, and then there's a car over here. Every one of those sounds can bring us fully into the present. So I would, for a small, short practice like that, I would be inviting them to just be present and just let the breath flow naturally. And if thoughts are arising, to just watch them like clouds going past and to not grab onto them. So then we begin to become aware of the witnessing mind, the witnessing presence. We can stand back and watch.
Watch the game.
Watch the chaos. Watch the mad mind.
It takes time to actually separate that space of thinking and to have the thinking mind and the witnessing mind or the observing mind. It takes time, and that might sound not even possible for some people to consider that, but it does actually happen over time, where you can experience the tranquility of the observer and the mind doing whatever the mind does.
It can be quite funny after time.
Yeah, I have that with some of my clients. They might ask a question and I'll be silent, and they'll come to their own conclusion that they've just had that observation, being the witness, and and being in the mind. It's funny, and they laugh at themselves. It's so nice to witness them witness what's going on.
Yeah.
One of the other things for establishing a relationship with stillness or a connection to the inner life we talk about is having daily rhythm. And I like the word rhythm more than discipline, because I think in our culture we have a negative response to being given discipline because of a historic way that discipline was dealt out. It was something that was imposed on you. And I even, was thinking about the word disciple a little while ago, and to be a disciple was to take your discipline from somebody else. And so we want to encourage that strength from within, because you want to achieve something, and that if that was a stronger swimming stroke or a bigger bench press or a deeper connection with yourself, the same rules apply. We have to apply ourselves. But if we look at it like every day we have a rhythm whether we like it or not. We just have an unconscious rhythm or we have a conscious rhythm. And an unconscious rhythm might look like coffee first thing in the morning, followed by the news, and it's done every day while you drive to work, and then you get stressed out about what you heard on the news, and then you can't understand why you're angry at about 11:30 in the morning because you haven't joined the dots between the liver aggravation from the coffee, the distressing news you heard, and then you're at work and someone really ticks you off, And so we like to look at how can I create a conscious rhythm where I might wake up and drink a litre of water, followed by a meditation. Could be 5 minutes, could be 50 minutes, depending on your life relationship, followed by some stretching, some movement, and then a healthy breakfast that you're present with. Don't listen to the news while you're eating it. And then life will unfold. That small portion that you give to your life will stay present throughout the whole day. And then we have that opportunity, because everyone has to go to work or is engaged in that time. Same thing at the end of the day. Creating a rhythm that becomes cyclic day in and day out. And then some days you miss it, it doesn't matter. you sleep in, you get unwell, you have children that wake you up through the night. But if you create that understanding or that commitment or that rhythm, however you look at it, it becomes something that carries you through difficult times.
Beautiful word, and so far away from discipline. Rhythm was my word for last year. It's rhythms, it's kind of like you're in your groove and you dance. And I think that's beautiful, even going through those points of the day of being present or being still. Like if someone's speaking to you, put down your phone. I know, I'm guilty of that. If my son's speaking to me or I'm working, I just have to stop and look at him, like be present. Or, when you say about with your food, not watching television, even tasting your food, tasting that goodness, because it all is going to serve the greater, like the vibration, the life within us, isn't it? Those small moments, or driving, where you get to a place and you think, oh my gosh, how did I get here? I'm on autopilot. It's the small things.
Yeah, it's also being really aware of how many distractions we have these days with social media, devices, phones, the whole lot. It's there's a lot to navigate, and most of those things are really addictive. So we look at them again and again and again and again. So then creating some boundary in your life that maybe at this time of the day that gets turned off, or within this room of our home, we don't have screens in this room of our home. This is our family space where we just connect and we be present with each other. And I remember when our teenager was at home and her friends were coming over, and we asked that the lounge room space be a space that was free of all devices,
scroll-free zone.
Scroll-free and screen-free zone. Because we had our little babies at that time, and we just wanted a place where everyone could be present with each other, and it worked really beautifully. So it's about creating those things in our lives and being really honest. Am I loving myself each day? Am I giving myself the nutrition, the hydration, the exercise, the movement, the stillness that I need? Am I giving myself those things? And if you struggle, or someone that struggles to be disciplined in your own rhythm, then find a place that can support you in that. Go to a really beautiful yoga class that you find, or to the place of chi, or to, a meditation class, or something that will hold you within that helps you to develop more self-love, more self-care.
Thank you so much. I think that would wrap that kind of the reason of how we can be a rejuvenated woman or man. We can be a rejuvenated man as well, but I think that's a beautiful message for our listener to, think about and bring into their day. Tell the listeners about your upcoming retreats, please.
Well, we don't
You've
really
got a couple
know.
Though, don't you?
We not really.
No?
They will, but it's an unusual time at the moment.
Well, September will be my Sacred Women's Retreat, which just ran in November out in Quran, which was absolutely beautiful. 4 days of nourishing, lush womanness. It was just beautiful.
Sign me up.
Oh, you'd love it, Cathy. It was so beautiful. So that'll be happening in September. Normally every year we go to Bali and we have an Into Your Heart retreat over there, but of course we're not doing that at the moment. And our main thing at the moment is our Journey into Stillness course that we run, which just started yesterday, and will run through till the middle of June. And that's every Thursday, 9:30 till 3:30. It's a day of practice, a day of meditation, yoga, mantra, yoga nidra, ceremony, fire ceremonies, chanting.
Beautiful.
Beautiful food, yes.
We do have a concert in Byron Bay on the
27th.
Sunday
the 27th in the afternoon at Byron Bay.
Things are slowly opening up. Usually we would be in Adelaide, Canberra,
Melbourne.
Perth, but each state has its own little reality happening at the moment, and we're just rolling with it. And
planting more bananas.
Yep.
I love it.
And
What a beautiful
as
outlook.
as things open up, we will put more things back on our events list. And
But we will direct our listener to your website, Sacred Earth Music.
Yes.
yep.
So they can listen to your beautiful divine sounds and voices, which are just angelic.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for spending this time with me today. It has been an absolute honour. Is there any message that you'd like to give our listeners before we close?
In this time, I'd really like to invite people to find a way to really listen to your own heart. There's so many opinions and different views flying around in the world right now, and to really take time to see what resonates with you as truth and to ground into your truth and really love yourself in your own truth and your own wisdom and your own knowing, and not get caught up in the mind, because it's like there's a great big mind running the world right now, and to stay connected to nature and to your heart.
And I would say stillness, or the deeper self. I had this really great analogy come to me a few days ago, that we have this notion that stillness is something I'll find in the future, but stillness is here, and I liken it to imagining you always wanted to have a mango tree, but you have no idea what a mango tree looks like, and one day you discover, because someone visits, there's one in your backyard and it's always been there. And so stillness and the deeper self is that. It's here with you now. It's just uncovering it, taking the things off that are covering it and stopping you being able to actually connect with it. So,
Thank you so much. Thank you. And to our listener, thank you so much for tuning in. This is our last episode of the season. I want to thank you for staying with me throughout the course of our episodes. I hope to tune in to you soon. If you want to find us on the socials, I'm on Instagram, Facebook, all the places, Sacred Earth as well. On.Track.Studio, this has kindly been brought and filmed at On.Track.Studio, and also sponsored by Rejuvenate Pilates. Thank you and God bless.